The darkness retreated slowly as Commander Jack Harris opened his eyes. The soft blue glow of the cryopod's interior lights guided him back to consciousness. His mind struggled to piece together reality from the fog of extended sleep. His mouth felt dry, his limbs heavy. Cryosleep termination complete. Vital signs normal, announced the ship's AI in a soothing female voice. Welcome back, Commander Harris. Jack blinked several times as the pod's cover slid open with a gentle hiss. The cool air of the UEF Valiant's recovery bay washed over him. A medic in a simple white uniform approached, scanner in hand. How are you feeling, Commander? The medic asked, running the device over Jack's body. Any disorientation or nausea? I'm fine, Jack replied, his voice rough from disuse. How long was I under? 8 months, sir. We're orbiting Earth now. Jack sat up slowly, accepting a small cup of water from the medic. 8 months since the final battle at Proxima Centauri. 8 months since he had made the decision that ended the war. He drank deeply, letting the cool liquid wash away the metallic taste in his mouth. As Jack dressed in his navy blue uniform, fragments of memory flashed through his mind. The brilliant explosion of the Xeraxian flagship, the screams on the comm channel, the desperate faces of his crew as they executed his final order. He pushed the thoughts away, focusing instead on the simple actions of fastening his boots. Commander Harris, a voice called from the doorway. A young lieutenant stood at attention. Fleet Admiral Martinez requests your presence in the command center as soon as you're ready, sir. Jack nodded. Tell her I'll be there in 20 minutes. The halls of the Valiant were quiet as Jack made his way toward the command center. The ship felt emptier than he remembered. Too many had been lost in the final push against the Xeraxians. Admiral Patricia Martinez stood by the main view screen when Jack entered, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. The image of Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. Jack, she said, turning to face him with a tired smile. Good to have you back with us. Admiral, he replied with a formal nod. You wanted to see me. Yes. Martins gestured to 2 chairs near her desk. Please, sit down. We need to discuss your upcoming address to the Galactic Council. Jack frowned. Address? I wasn't aware I was scheduled to speak. The Council has specifically requested you, Martinez explained, sliding a data tablet across the desk. They want to hear from the hero of Proxima Centauri himself. Jack's jaw tightened. I'm no hero, Admiral. I just did what was necessary. Necessary or not, what you did saved Earth and possibly countless other worlds from Xeraxian domination. The fragile peace we now have exists because of your actions. Jack looked down at the tablet, scrolling through the mission brief. The Galactic Council has never taken humans seriously before. Why start now? Martinez leaned forward, her expression grave. Because now they're afraid, Jack. Or at least, they're beginning to fear what we might be capable of. Your speech could reshape humanity's place in the galactic community. I'm a soldier, not a diplomat. Jack protested. Send someone else. It has to be you. The alien species respect power and those who wield it. You showed them something about humanity they never expected to see. Martins paused, studying his face. I know you wanted to fade away after what happened, but we need you one more time. Jack stared out the viewport at Earth, thinking of all the people who had died following his orders. He owed them this much at least. When do I leave? He asked finally. Tomorrow. The Council convenes on Nexus Station in 3 days. Martinez stood, signaling the end of their meeting. The fate of human-alien relations may depend on what you say to them. Jack, make it count. The shuttle approached Nexus Station, a massive wheel-shaped structure spinning slowly against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. Jack Harris stood at the viewport, watching as the diplomatic hub grew larger. Built by the Eridani as a neutral meeting ground for the 12 spacefaring species of the known galaxy, its gleaming silver surface reflected the light of the nearby sun. First time at Nexus? Asked a voice behind him. Jack turned to see a woman with short auburn hair extending her hand. She wore the formal blue and gold uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. "Susan Reed, diplomatic attaché," she said with a professional smile. "I've been assigned to help you navigate the political minefield ahead." Jack shook her hand. "That obvious I'm a newcomer." "The way you're looking at the station, like it might bite you, gave it away," Susan replied with a hint of humor. "Don't worry. Most of the species here don't actually bite. Physically, at least." The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. As they disembarked, Jack was struck by the diversity of the station's inhabitants. Tall, willowy Eridani with their pale blue skin moved gracefully among stocky Bavarians. A group of Tellarite merchants argued loudly near a food dispensary, their tentacles waving for emphasis. "The council chamber is in the central hub," Susan explained as they walked. "You'll address them tomorrow morning. Today, we'll get you settled and briefed on protocol." Jack nodded, trying not to stare at a massive Dregar warrior whose armored skin reflected the overhead lights. "What's the general attitude toward humans here?" Susan's expression turned serious. "Honestly, most species see us as primitive newcomers who got lucky in our first interstellar war. They tolerate us because they have to, but they don't respect us. And the Xeraxians, they're the worst. Their ambassador, Krell, has been spreading the narrative that humans are violent, unpredictable primitives who should be contained, not embraced by the galactic community." They reached their quarters, a modest but comfortable suite in the human section of the station. Susan activated a holographic display showing the layout of the council chamber and the faces of key representatives. "The council consists of 12 species, each with their own agenda," she explained. "The Eridani value knowledge above all. The Bavarians are traders focused on economic expansion. The Xeraxians," she paused. "Well, until they met us, they were the most militarily aggressive species in known space." Jack studied the hologram of the Xeraxian representative, a tall, reptilian figure with crimson scales and amber eyes. "They didn't expect us to win," he said quietly. "No one did," Susan agreed. "That's why your speech matters so much. The details of the final battle at Proxima Centauri are still classified. Most species only know that somehow your outgunned fleet managed to force the Xeraxians to retreat and sign a peace treaty." Jack's face darkened as memories flooded back. His ships outnumbered 3-1. His desperate gamble. The cost in human lives. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime from the door. Susan opened it to reveal a station attendant. "Commander Harris, Ambassador Krell of the Xeraxian Empire requests an informal meeting before tomorrow's council session." Jack and Susan exchanged glances. "Tell him I'll meet him in 1 hour at the observation deck," Jack replied after a moment. When the attendant left, Susan turned to him with concern. "Be careful. Krell was a military commander before becoming an ambassador. He lost ships at Proxima." Jack nodded, his expression grim. "Good. Then he'll understand exactly what I have to say." As he prepared for the meeting, Jack caught his reflection in the mirror. The face that looked back seemed older than he remembered, the eyes haunted by decisions no one should have to make. Tomorrow, he would have to find the words to make the galaxy understand what those decisions meant, not just for humanity, but for every species that might one day face them in conflict. The Council archives occupied 3 entire levels of Nexus Station. Jack followed Susan through rows of data terminals and holographic displays, past aliens of various species engaged in research. "Most of this information is open to all Council members," Susan explained, leading him to a quieter section. "But what we're looking for is how we're perceived by other species." She activated a terminal, and streams of alien text flowed across the screen, automatically translating to English. Jack leaned forward, his brow furrowing as he read the assessment of humanity written by the Eridani High Scholar. Physically unimpressive compared to Dregar or Bavarian standards. Short-lived with limited sensory capacity. Notable for rapid technological advancement despite biological limitations, Jack read aloud. They think we're weak. Susan nodded, pulling up another file. This is from Xeraxian military intelligence. It was declassified as part of the peace treaty. The new document contained detailed analyses of human combat capabilities, significantly underestimating human endurance, pain tolerance, and psychological resilience. They don't understand us at all, Jack murmured. Which may be our only advantage, Susan replied. A message flashed on Susan's personal communicator. Dr. Foster has arrived. He's waiting in conference room 12. The xenobiologist, Dr. Alan Foster, was a tall man with kind eyes and graying temples. He rose when they entered, shaking Jack's hand firmly. Commander Harris, an honor to meet you. Your tactics at Proxima are already being taught at the Academy. Jack acknowledged the compliment with a nod. What have you found, Doctor? Foster activated a holographic display showing comparative physiological data on all 12 spacefaring species. I've been studying interspecies biology for 15 years, he began. Humans are unique in ways other species don't fully appreciate. We're not the strongest, fastest, or most durable, but we're the most adaptable by far. The display shifted to show environmental tolerance ranges. The human markers extended far beyond most species in multiple categories. We can survive in environments that would kill most council races, Foster continued. Our ability to endure pain, sleep deprivation, and psychological stress exceeds all known species except perhaps the Dragar. The Xeraxians don't recognize this, Jack asked. They believe their superior technology compensates for biological differences, but there's something else they don't understand. Foster's expression grew serious. Our capacity for both compassion and violence is unparalleled. The display changed again, showing brain scans of various species. Most advanced species evolved past their aggressive instincts as they developed. Humans didn't. We simply learned to control them through social structures. Jack thought about the final battle at Proxima, about the choices he had made when those social structures were stripped away by desperation. There's something else you should see, Susan said, pulling up restricted files on her secure pad. Our intelligence suggests the Xeraxians are secretly rebuilding their fleet, despite the treaty limitations. She showed them images of hidden shipyards in the Xeraxian home system, comparing fleet numbers before and after the treaty signing. They're preparing for another war, Jack said grimly. Foster nodded. They believe their initial loss was an anomaly. They don't understand what they're really dealing with. Jack stared at the data, memories of the war flashing through his mind. The desperate measures, the sacrifices, the lines crossed when survival was at stake. In your speech tomorrow, Susan said quietly, you could reveal who we really are. Make them understand. If I do that, they'll fear us, Jack replied. Perhaps they should, Foster said. Fear might maintain peace where respect has failed. Jack looked from Susan to Foster, then back to the data displaying humanity's unique capacity for both creation and destruction. I need battle footage from Proxima, he said finally. The uncensored version. Susan's eyes widened. That's highly classified. The Council has never seen what really happened. Exactly, Jack said. It's time they did. As they left the archives, a small group of Xeraxian officials watched them from across the hall, their amber eyes narrowed with suspicion. The secure conference room buzzed with tension as Jack studied the holographic star map. Red markers indicated Xeraxian fleet movements along the border of human space, far more ships than allowed under the treaty terms. These reports came in 6 hours ago, said Lisa Chen, a sharp-eyed UEF intelligence officer who had arrived on a diplomatic courier ship. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical bun, her expression grim. Long-range sensors detected their stealth drives. They're not as good at hiding as they think. Jack pointed to a cluster of markers near the Ta-CD system. They're positioning for a strike against our outer colonies. Susan, who stood beside him, shook her head. But why now? The council session could redefine our standing in galactic politics. That's exactly why, Jack replied. If we gain allies today, their window for revenge narrows. He turned to Lisa. What else did you bring me? Lisa placed a small data crystal on the table. Everything on human combat capabilities and the Battle of Proxima Centauri. Admiral Martinez authorized full disclosure at your discretion. Jack picked up the crystal, weighing more than its physical mass in his palm. This could change everything. A chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal a tall, slender alien with silvery skin and large, compound eyes that shimmered with rainbow colors. The Eridani wore flowing robes covered in symbols that seemed to shift as they moved. Ambassador Kelvorin. Susan greeted with a formal bow. Thank you for coming. The Eridani's mouthparts moved in what Jack had learned was their version of a smile. I have studied your species with great interest, Commander Harris. Your victory at Proxima Centauri challenged many of our assumptions. Jack gestured for the ambassador to sit. That's why I asked to meet with you before my address. The Eridani prize knowledge above all else, correct? Truth is the highest virtue, Kelvorin confirmed. Which is why your request intrigued me. Jack activated a small holographic projector, showing classified human military training procedures, soldiers functioning after days without sleep, medical techniques that kept critically wounded fighters conscious and combat capable, psychological conditioning that enabled humans to endure conditions that would break other species. What you're seeing has never been shared with non-humans, Jack explained. The Xeraxians don't understand what they faced at Proxima, what they'll face if they break the peace again. The Eridani's compound eyes reflected the holographic images, their colors shifting to deeper blues, a sign of intense thought in their species. Most fascinating, Kelvorin said finally. You wish the Council to understand these capabilities. I want potential allies to know who they're allying with, Jack clarified, and potential enemies to know what they'd be facing. The Eridani was silent for a long moment. Such revelations will change perceptions of humanity throughout the galaxy. Not all reactions will be positive. We're aware of the risk, Susan interjected, but continued misconceptions are more dangerous. Their discussion was interrupted by another chime. Lisa checked the security screen and frowned. It's a Xeraxian diplomatic party, she announced. Ambassador Krell and 3 aides. Jack exchanged glances with Susan. Let them in. Ambassador Krell stood nearly 7 feet tall, his crimson scales gleaming under the conference room lights. His amber eyes fixed on Jack with cold intensity. Commander Harris, he said, his translator giving his words a metallic quality. My government has learned of your intention to present restricted military information to the Council. Your government seems well informed about my private meetings, Jack replied evenly. Krell's scaled lips pulled back, revealing sharp teeth. The Xeraxian Empire formally objects to this presentation. Such displays violate the spirit of peace between our peoples. Jack stepped closer to the imposing alien. What violates the spirit of peace, Ambassador, are the battle fleets your empire is assembling along our borders. A flicker of surprise passed through Krell's eyes before his expression hardened again. A defensive precaution only. Then you should have nothing to fear from my speech, Jack said. Unless there's something you don't want the Council to know. Krell's claw-tipped fingers flexed at his sides. This is a mistake, human. Some truths are better left unspoken. As the Xeraxians departed, Susan turned to Jack. They're scared. Good, Jack replied, pocketing the data crystal. Tomorrow, everyone else will be too. The council chamber formed a perfect circle, with 12 raised platforms arranged around a central speaking area. Each platform held the representatives of a galactic power. Jack stood in the center, feeling the weight of countless alien eyes upon him. The chamber's soft blue lighting cast his face in shadow as he waited for the formal proceedings to begin. First speaker Tellerus, an ancient Eridani whose silvery skin had faded to pale gray with age, rose from the center platform. The council recognizes Commander Jack Harris of Earth, hero of the Proxima Centauri conflict, Tellerus announced, his translated voice echoing through the chamber. He comes to address the council on matters of galactic security. Jack noticed Ambassador Krell shifting uncomfortably on the Xeraxian platform. Beside him, Susan gave a small nod of encouragement. Jack took a deep breath and began. Distinguished representatives, I come before you not as a diplomat, but as a soldier who has seen the face of war. His voice was steady, carrying clearly to all corners of the chamber. Before I show you what really happened at Proxima Centauri, you must understand what humans are. He activated the holographic projector. Images appeared in the air around him, Earth's blood-stained history unfolding before the Council. Humanity fought itself for thousands of years before reaching the stars. We killed each other over land, resources, ideas, and beliefs. The images showed ancient battlefields, modern warfare, the horrors of human conflict throughout history. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once, Jack continued. But each time, we survived. We adapted. We endured conditions that should have broken us. The council chamber was utterly silent. Even the normally chattering Tellarites washed without a sound. When we met the Xeraxian Empire, we were not the most advanced species in this room. We still aren't. But at Proxima Centauri, we proved we might be the most dangerous when threatened. Jack inserted the data crystal. The hologram shifted to real battle footage from his command ship. The Council could now see the final hours of the battle, outnumbered human ships continuing to fight despite catastrophic damage. Crew members operating with severe injuries, functioning through pain that would incapacitate most species. What you're seeing has never been shown outside human military circles, Jack explained as the footage continued. My fleet was outgunned 3-1. By all logical calculations, we should have surrendered or retreated. The hologram showed Jack's own bloodied face on the command deck, giving the order that changed the course of the battle. But humans don't calculate odds the way other species do, Jack continued. We have a unique ability to function beyond our normal limits when survival demands it. The footage showed human soldiers fighting hand-to-hand against Xeraxian boarding parties. A wounded pilot, her arm hanging useless at her side, still managing to fly her fighter directly into a Xeraxian cruiser's engine section. Several council members visibly recoiled. The Bavarian representatives' tusks clicked rapidly, a sign of distress in their species. What you're witnessing isn't unique to elite soldiers, Jack said. Any human, when pushed far enough, is capable of similar feats. Our bodies produce chemicals under extreme stress that allow us to ignore pain, fear, even mortal injury, to keep fighting when we should be dead. The hologram showed the final moments. Jack's desperate gambit that lured the Xeraxian flagship into a trap, the devastating explosion that turned the tide, and the human ships, despite critical damage, pressing the advantage until the Xeraxian fleet retreated. We fought defensively, Jack emphasized as the footage ended. We sought to minimize casualties on both sides. We wanted peace. His eyes locked with Krell's across the chamber. But make no mistake, what you saw was humanity holding back. If pushed into total war, if our existence is threatened, there are no limits to what we would do to survive. The silence that followed was profound. In that moment, Jack knew every species in the chamber was reassessing everything they thought they knew about humans. Consider this carefully, he finished quietly, before you mistake our desire for peace as weakness. The silence in the council chamber stretched uncomfortably. Jack remained standing in the center, watching the varied reactions of the alien representatives. The Eridani whispered among themselves, their compound eyes shifting through shades of deep blue and violet. The massive Drigar representative leaned forward, interest evident in his posture. The Tellarites had stopped their usual fidgeting, their tentacles completely still. Finally, Jack continued, his voice softer but somehow more compelling for it. There are aspects of human psychology that none of your species have fully grasped, he said. We adapt to trauma in ways your scientists would find difficult to believe. He brought up new holographic images, brain scans comparing human neural pathways to those of other species. While most advanced species evolved to suppress their aggressive instincts, humans developed something different: the ability to channel aggression selectively. We can form deep bonds with those we once fought. We can shift from enemy to ally within a single generation. Jack walked slowly around the central platform, making eye contact with each delegation. Humans call this pack bonding. We can extend our tribal connections to include former enemies, even members of entirely different species. The same intensity that makes us dangerous in war makes us loyal to our allies. The Bavarian representative raised a massive paw, signaling a question. If humans possess such capacity for violence, how can other species trust your restraint? Jack nodded, acknowledging the valid concern. Because throughout our history, despite our capability for destruction, we've consistently chosen cooperation when given the chance. We prefer peace, but we will not accept extinction. He activated another hologram, this one showing classified UEF weapon systems that had never been deployed against the Xeraxians. During the war, we developed technologies we chose not to use, weapons that could have devastated entire Xeraxian worlds. The images showed planet-killer missiles and biological agents designed to target Xeraxian physiology. We held back, fighting a defensive war even when our colonies burned. Ambassador Krell rose suddenly from his seat, his scales flushing darker red in agitation. This display is propaganda. These supposed weapons are fabrications designed to intimidate the Council. Jack turned to face the Xeraxian directly. Your military intelligence knows exactly what we developed. Ambassador, your spies confirmed it. That's why your emperor signed the peace treaty even as your fleets had numerical superiority. Krill's jaw opened and closed silently, his reaction confirming Jack's words more effectively than any rebuttal could have. We don't want war, Jack continued, addressing the entire council again. We're explorers and builders by nature. But the Xeraxian Empire should understand what awaits if they break our peace. He focused directly on Krell again. Your species evolved as apex predators, hunting in coordinated packs. You respect strength and despise weakness. So know this, if forced into total war, humans would not fight as you do, for glory or conquest. We would fight for survival, with no limits and no surrender. Jack displayed one final image, Earth, blue and vulnerable against the blackness of space. This is what we defend, our only home for most of our history. We've nearly destroyed it ourselves more than once, but we survived, adapted, and reached the stars. We've learned from our mistakes. We seek peaceful cooperation with all species in this council. His voice dropped to almost a whisper, forcing everyone to lean forward to hear. But push us too far, threaten our existence, and you will discover why no human war in our long history has ever ended with our extinction. No matter the odds, we endure. No matter the enemy, we find a way to prevail. Jack switched off the holographic display, leaving the chamber in dim light. The choice before this council is simple. Accept humans as partners in peace, with all our strengths and flaws, or risk discovering firsthand why, throughout our violent history, those who underestimated humanity rarely survived to make the same mistake twice. The chamber remained silent, but now it was a silence filled with new understanding and the first stirrings of fear. 3 days after Jack's speech, the Galactic Council reconvened for their final vote. Jack sat beside Susan in the human delegation section, watching as First Speaker Tellerus called the session to order. After careful deliberation, this council will now vote on Resolution 7329, Enhanced Enforcement of the Human-Xeraxian Peace Treaty, Tellerus announced, his ancient voice carrying clearly through the chamber. One by one, the representatives cast their votes. The Eridani, in favor. The Bavarians, in favor. The Tellerites, in favor. Even the normally isolationist Draeger voted to support the resolution. When the Xeraxian turn came, Ambassador Krell rose slowly, his amber eyes fixed on Jack. The Xeraxian Empire respects strength, he said, each word seemingly forced through clenched teeth. We vote in favor of the resolution and will comply with all inspection protocols. Jack kept his expression neutral, But beneath the table, Susan squeezed his arm in triumph. The final tally appeared on displays throughout the chamber. 11 in favor, 1 abstention. The treaty would be enforced by a multi-species inspection team with authority to verify compliance on both sides. As the session concluded, several ambassadors approached Jack directly, something that would have been unthinkable a week earlier. The Eridani Confederation would be interested in establishing deeper diplomatic relations with Earth, Kelvoran said, bowing slightly. Perhaps even a cultural exchange program. The Bavarian representative, a massive bear-like being named Gorax, was more direct. My people value strength and honesty. You have shown both. We should discuss trade arrangements beneficial to our worlds. Jack directed them to Susan and the formal diplomatic team, stepping away to a quiet observation deck overlooking the vast expanse of space. Lisa Chen found him there a few minutes later. Intelligence reports confirm the Ziraxian battle fleets are withdrawing from the border, she said, all ships returning to their designated positions under the treaty. Jack nodded, still looking out at the stars. They'll comply for now. You changed everything, you know, Lisa continued. Admiral Martinez asked me to offer you a position, special diplomatic envoy to the Council. You'd have broad authority to shape our interstellar policy. Jack turned from the viewport, a small smile touching his lips. Tell the Admiral I'm honored, but no. I joined the service to explore, not to play politics. Then what will you do now? The UEF Discovery is launching next month for the Ta-CD system. They need an experienced commander. Lisa smiled knowingly. Back to exploration. Then, it's what we do best, Jack replied. 6 months later, Jack stood on the bridge of the Discovery, watching as his crew prepared for their jump to the next unexplored system. His communications officer called out from her station. Commander, incoming transmission from Nexus Station, Priority Channel. Jack accepted the call, and Susan's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired but satisfied. Thought you'd want to know, she said without preamble. The Council just approved 3 new human colonies in previously restricted regions, and the Ziraxians have formally requested human assistance with a terraforming project. Jack raised an eyebrow. Cooperation. That's unexpected. Not really, Susan replied with a small smile. According to my sources, they've been studying human history intensively since your speech. They're particularly interested in how former enemies became allies after World War I. Learning from the past, Jack mused. There's hope for them yet. After the transmission ended, Jack gazed at the star map displaying their planned route. So many worlds to discover, so many new species they might encounter. In classified briefings across the galaxy, military strategists and political leaders were reassessing their understanding of humanity. They studied Earth's violent history with new eyes, not just noting the capacity for destruction, but also the remarkable ability to rebuild, forgive, and move forward. Humans were still not the most technologically advanced species in known space. They were not the strongest or the longest lived. But throughout the galaxy, one truth was now understood. In humanity, the stars had produced something unique, a species that, when pushed to its limits, became something no other race wanted to face. As Discovery prepared to jump, Jack gave the order to proceed. Whatever waited beyond, humanity would face it as they always had, ready to extend a hand in friendship, but prepared to defend their existence at any cost. The galaxy had learned to respect humans, and for now, that was enough.